Hi everyone, welcome to the School of Psychology talk. We'll get started now because it's 5 o'clock. And yeah, towards the end of the talk, we'll leave some time for questions. So if you think of anything you'd like to ask, just put them in the chat as we go and we'll get to them at the end. My name is Amy and this is Nisha, and we're both part of the School of Psychology. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 different courses that we offer in the School of Psychology. Yeah, we hope you enjoy. Let me introduce myself a bit more. So yeah, I'm Amy. I'm a third-year psychology student. I am in the pure psychology degree at the moment. I'm an international student, so I'm originally from South Africa, but I lived in Switzerland for a few years, and then I came to Dublin to study here at DCU. Since being at DCU, I've taken part in a lot of things from ambassadors to Glee Singing Society and to being a class representative. Within psychology, my interests kind of lie in neuropsych and educational psychology.
Right, and my name is Nisha, and I'm also a third-year pure psychology student, and I'm a local from Dublin. I'm also an ambassador, as you can see, and I'm an Irish traditional musician, while also being part of the Glee Singing Society too. And within psychology, my main interests are in clinical psychology. So now, before we go into the courses, let's break down what psychology actually is. So the general definition for psychology is the scientific study of human mind and behaviour, so how we think, how we act, react, interact, both individually and as groups. So now psychology can be further broken down into 5 main pillars. So we have lifespan or developmental psychology, followed by cognitive, biological, individual differences, and finally social psychology.
And yeah, I mean, psychology is a very broad topic, and within these 5 pillars, there's actually a lot that we can do within the subject of psychology. I mean, being third year, we've only seen some of these, but some examples are things like helping people overcome depression, stress, or trauma. Psychologists ease the effects of parental divorce on children. They speed up recovery from brain injury, help to stop bullying in school or workplaces, make sure people, are happy and perform their best in different environments, helping athletes and sports people to perform better, and generally conducting research with this overarching aim to actually just help people in very different conditions, environments, and circumstances. So let's actually go now into the courses that we offer here in the DCU School of Psychology. So the first course is what we are both a part of. This is the Bachelor of Science in Psychology. This is a Bachelor of Science with honors. It takes place over 4 years. We have relatively small classes, around 40 students that are taken each year. The course has been going for a good while now. It commenced in September 2010, and since then the leaving cert points have ranged from 509 to 565. Like I said, it's a 4-year full-time program, and within this we have a big range of modules. I mean, we've already done everything from biological psychology to statistics, social psychology, sports psychology, perception, child development. I mean, there's really something for everyone. We have very different interests within psychology, but we both absolutely love the degree. As I said, we're right now in third year, and in the second semester of third year, our degree offers a credited interview-based intra-placement. So what this is where you actually, for 1 semester, go out and actually work and get experience. This could be a semester in hospital, it could be in a social setting, educational, organizational, sports, or research setting. Amongst other things, while you're in this 4-year degree, you might do some volunteering in certain modules. We volunteered at a play school. You will do a final year research project. So this is sort of after you've done, 4 years, you kind of sit down and say, what are my areas of interest? And you get to do your own research paper on that. And overall, you just engage in a lot of activities where you'll meet loads of people in your course, as well as get to know the lecturers.
Right, so I'm sure many of you are wanting to ask, well, where can you actually go after studying psychology? So being a wide and diverse degree, it provides you with a skill set for a range of professions. So it's quite an interesting course because your interests will change as you get further into the degree. So as Amy mentioned, I started psychology being interested more in social psychology, whereas now I'm definitely developing more of an interest in the clinical field. So many individuals will continue to study in the psychology field, and this may consist of research, clinical psychology, sports psychology, and also biopsych. And others will continue into more broader areas, so this could be both private and public. So Here are some questions to ask yourself. Is the Bachelor of Science in Psychology for you in the future? So if you have an inquiring mind, are you interested in understanding human behaviour? Do you like helping people in numerous ways? And do you like the challenge and rewards of in-depth study? And finally, have you got the ability to question in a critical way? Well, then, if you do, psychology is definitely for you. So moving on to our second course in the School of Psychology. So this is the Bachelor of Science in Psychology and Mathematics. So this again is a full-time 4-year Bachelor of Science degree. However, it again has a smaller class size, so approximately 10 students per class. And it commenced in September 2021, and the Leaving Cert points are around 520. So the course includes an even wider range of exciting modules. So, for example, the psychological modules like biopsych or cognition, but also modules like calculus or programming for mathematics. So they also have an interplacement as well, in which you may get the opportunity to work with DCU's range of industry partners. So, what will you actually do in this course? Well, within this course, you can develop numeracy, analytic, and problem-solving skills to further your understanding of the human mind and behaviour. You also will study the core psychology modules across all pillars, but along with this, you will study mathematical modules, like listed on the slide before, plus a range of smaller modules, such as transversal skills.
Yeah, this a new course, and I'm sure many of you might not know, probably have never heard of a degree like this, or might not know how maths and psychology could be applied into the real world. But the way this program is set out is that you would come out of the degree with a real diverse set of skills for a range of professions. So whether this means you could stay in the psychology specialism, which many people would do, but you could also go into teaching, you could go in the public or private sector. But then more specifically, there are some degrees that either are just coming, to be, or don't even exist yet, that are related to, behavioral change, market analyst, financial analyst, business consultancy, research analyst, like all of these types of things, which both psychology and the maths would help you achieve that kind of career. So again, to just ask yourselves, if you think you have an inquiring mind, if you like the challenge and rewards of an in-depth study, do you have the ability to question in a critical way? But do you see your future as someone who would want to interpret human behavior, like psychology does, but you would want to use complex data sets with a career in industry, psychology, or education? Then this degree in psychology and maths could be for you. We'll go on to the third course that we offer here in the School of Psychology. Also a very new degree. This is the Psychology and Disruptive Tech course. Again, it's a full-time 4-year Bachelor of Science degree. All 3 of our courses are accredited by the PSI. But yeah, this one takes about 20 students each year, slightly larger than the maths one, and commenced in September 2021. In this, the Leaving Cert points have ranged from about 500 to 520. And just important to note that in this, you do need a minimum of an O4 or H6 in maths. This module, again, it's a much more applied kind of degree. So you'll have a lot of modules with practical activities, many of which where you'll go directly working within the industry. You will have an interplacement. So again, this could be in a hospital, could be working in industry and tech, social enterprise, schools, research institutes, and much more. A lot of what you will do will be related to sort of hot and niche topics that are happening in that moment, such as AI or social robotics. And like the maths degree, you'll have a lot of micro modules in data visualization, transversal skills, and you can add languages onto your transcript. Again, you will do a final year project where hopefully by the end of those 4 years, you've somehow found an area of your own interest within psychology or disruptive tech, and you wanted to do your own paper on that.
Right, so like the other courses, many individuals do stay in the psychology specialism, but specific examples of some careers include programming and artificial intelligence, human technology interaction, consultancy, and statistical analysis. So again, questions to ask yourself. If you have an inquiring mind, and if you're interested in understanding human behaviour and are engaged by innovation and technology, if you like the challenge and rewards of in-depth study, and if you have the ability to question in a critical way, then psychology and disruptive technologies may be the course for you.
I'm sure some of the people watching this are you're probably still students in school, and some of this might seem a bit too, far in advance for you. But I always say to people that when you are looking at your university course, consider that, yes, it's something you want to be interested in studying, but you also want to consider that this is something you're going to work in the future. So we want to show you what kind of skills would you come out of this degree with. Across all 3 courses, you'll have general psychology skills, something like team working, organizational, critical thinking, statistical skills. But if you do psych and maths, you might enhance your numeracy, computing, modeling. If you do the disruptive tech, you might learn a bit more about science and policy communication. I mean, overall, there's just so much from time management to data visualization and much, much more. And it just opens options in the future for different career paths.
So while I'm very passionate talking about these incredible degrees, I know there's so much more interesting aspects of university life. So DCU are well known for their engagement in student life. So this includes student support, advice centres, and also a student union, which holds events throughout the year. So any individual can become a part of this. So we also have the Elite Athlete Entry Scheme, and there's large on-campus student accommodation and a lot more. So, and something that might be more interesting to you all. So there are over 140 clubs and societies in DCU. And as you can see on the screen here are just a few of them. But if you go to the DCU Clubs and Societies website, you'll be able to go through these in your own time and see if there's anything of interest to you.
But yeah, overall, that was just a little snippet of what the School of Psychology in DCU offer. We just wanted to give sort of a 15-minute summary of what we have here. If you have some questions, please throw them into the chat. We really love getting questions. And, if you have a question, it might help someone else. So please ask away. Other than that, we hope you learned something from this, and we hope you want to go on to study psychology. If you have any questions after this presentation, go on to the DCU Psychology page. There will be a chat with us bar. You can find our profiles there. Otherwise, on the page here, we have the program coordinator emails. I think we have one question from Laura. She's asked how many hours per week in lectures and how much self-learning on top of that is expected for each of the 3 courses. Do many students go on to do masters? If so, can you give us some examples of the masters some current students are completing? We can definitely answer that. So I would say hours per lecture, it will change each year a little bit, but I would say probably on average, about 18 hours?
I'd say 17 hours.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we've had. So it's kind of almost like a part-time job, I guess, actual in-person lectures. What is nice, I guess, depending on the type of person you are, is then obviously a lot of the time outside of that is your own learning. So I would say doing a degree like the psychology one here requires self-discipline in that you will have a lot of your own work on top of that. So I mean, I would say it's almost you could consider maybe 50-50 in terms of like your in-person lectures and then work outside of that, especially when you get further into the semester.
Then I would say in terms of the self-learning, like you asked there, all lecturers give you a required reading list or recommended reading list. And then they also kind of have a side reading list as well. So if there's maybe a particular module that you're really interested in, say like cognition, the required reading is obviously mandatory, but you can go and look at the other readings they've given you and go through that if it's of interest. So I suppose in that sense, the required reading probably an hour per module kind of ish.
Yeah, and I guess
depends on the week.
And it depends on you. I mean, yes. It's the type of degree that if you want to do well, you can put in a lot. So yeah, I think the other thing in terms of assessments wise for self-learning is we have a mix of exams and continuous assessments. So continuous assessments would be, writing essays, reports, presentations. So again, that's sort of self-learning in terms of you do that in your own time. We do have a lot of that. And then I would say we have at least 1 or 2 exams at the end of each semester on average. Do you have many students go on to do masters? I would say it's pretty common.
Yes.
Some do go on to PhDs directly as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think many people go within Ireland or go abroad for things like masters in neuropsych. What other people go to do the DCLIN Psych, which would be to become accredited.
There's also as well in DCU, there's a psychology course in wellbeing as well. Mm-hmm. And just another thing to note about the psychology courses in DCU is that they are all accredited by the PSI. Yeah. And so that's another important thing to note, that when you graduate, many master's courses will look for this.
Yeah, so it just means if you are wanting to go on study further, whatever university you look at, you need to consider having an accredited course by the Psychological Society of Ireland. Yes. It just means that they recognize the course so as an accredited degree, that you're learning enough to go on to study further. Yeah. Yes. Are the bachelor classes in psychology big or small, over 50? So the Bachelor of Psychology, the one we're in, is about 40 people each year. Yes. Can vary a little bit, but usually around 40 people. That number is decided from the PSI, so it kind of stays the same every year. It's a lovely size in terms of we kind of know all the names of everyone on our course. A lot of the lecturers know our names, but it's also big enough that it feels
like a class.
And you're at university.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other two courses are smaller, about 20 and 10.
And we do kind of integrate with them a bit as well. So if you do another one of the psychology courses, there's a chance, like very high chance, you'll be in with the other psychology course too.
Yeah. And if you are looking for something where you want bigger lectures, we do collaborate as well with some other degrees. We had some modules with sports science. We had some modules with health and society.
We had some with the accounting and finance as well.
So there's a real mix. The question from Leo was, is there a chance to study or do work experience abroad? So within, during the 4 years, there isn't a chance to study abroad, but with our intra placements, there's the possibility of working abroad. Most of the positions we get offered are within Ireland, mainly within Dublin, but there would be one or two abroad positions, or if you can self-source a position. So if you know of, let's just say, a hospital in, London, for example, and you reach out to them and you find a role, you could go and work there for the semester. I will say, though, on average, most people stay within Dublin for the degree. I think just in terms of the PSI accreditation, with psychology, it's often easier to stay within one country to do a lot of that stuff.
So there is no Erasmus in this course. Okay, what is your favorite and least favorite module?
Ooh,
that's
we're gonna have very different ones, I think.
Yeah, I feel like we will. No, do you want to go first?
I'd say my favorite would be biological psychology. That's a module across actually 2 semesters. We Biopsych 1 and Biopsych 2. I just love that. You learn about the brain, a bit about medicine. If you're interested in neuro, that kind of thing, it's great. What's your favorite?
My favorite, I have a few. I'd have to say more along the social psychology / behavior change kind of route. Just because I found we did social psychology in semester 1 of first year, and it was extremely interesting. It's classical, relationships and that sort of thing. So very interesting. And
least favorite?
Least favorite for me would actually probably be along the lines of bio, that kind of route. Yeah. I was just never big into the brain and the actual locating places of the brain. But it's a very interesting module. It is an interesting module to prepare.
I would say, actually, this might be something that I'll mention as well, because we usually get questions on this, but I would say not necessarily my least favorite, but one that, you don't expect necessarily going in, is statistics. It's not actually terrible, but it's just different, I guess. But I'll say it's something that I know a lot of people often don't choose the psychology degree because they're a bit scared that we have to do statistics. It's definitely manageable. But I would just say it's obviously not psychology directly. So that's why probably it wouldn't be my first choice thing. What do we get? Derek asked, are there options for remote lectures if needed? Generally, no. I think if you obviously miss for certain reasons, you could get in contact with the program coordinators, and they would find ways. Everything's done online in terms of assignments, reading resources, that kind of thing. So you could catch up. But in terms of actually remote lectures, nothing's recorded. So we're encouraged to go in for lectures in person. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a question here from Marilyn asking, are there modules about education or teenage development? I actually forgot to mention we did child development in first year, and that was another one of my favorite modules.
Me too, actually.
And we just had an advanced developmental module as well last semester. Yeah. So yes, there's also education.
We have an educational module. Yeah, that's
great. So we have all of those.
We actually have all of those. And I say it's the type of topics as well that a lot of people are interested in. So a lot of the modules touch on them in some shape or form. You know, we had like, for example, cognition, and in that you do talk a bit about child development. So we have all 3 of those modules. And again, just for specific module questions, if you go onto the DCU psychology page and you scroll down to, I think it says structure, you can see for each year what are the core modules and the optional modules. So I definitely recommend doing that to see if DCU offers the type of modules that interest you.
So we have a question here asking, are the statistics manageable even if you didn't do maths during the last 2 years of school? I would say yes.
Yeah, I would say yes.
I went to an all-Irish school, so all the terminology that I would have learned for the Leaving Cert was very different to obviously the English terminology. And I would say it's definitely like in the lectures, we have practical classes and also lectures for that module. So in the practical classes, it'll be a 2-hour class and you're in a computer room.
Yeah.
And the lecturers are very, very helpful when it comes to explaining everything.
Yeah.
They go through it step by step. So yes.
Yeah.
Conclusion.
I think they go in with the expectation almost that we don't know anything.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't do the Leaving Cert, so I think they can't assume that everyone's done the same school system, that kind of thing. So we very much start from scratch in terms of statistics. It's no other maths other than statistics as well. So you don't need to worry about that. And I'd say because it's something that people go in a little bit scared of, they make sure to make it not scary. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so Monica asked, what are the hours of classes? It's a morning time, Monday to Friday. So I would say on average, yes, it is mostly it is Monday to Friday, and you're in pretty much, I would say, on average 4 out of 5 of those days. The hours range, you could start at 9 a.m. one day, you could end at 5 another day. But as we said, it's kind of 17 to 18 hours a week. So you're never going to be in 9 to 5 every single day. So you may have a day where you're in 9 till 12. You may have another day where you're in 3 till 5.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very varied. There's no like specific direct schedule for it. But yeah.
Yeah, we've got genuinely great hours, and genuinely they try to make them as nice for both commuters but also people living nearby. So, yeah. So Daniel has asked, how much of the psychology with disruptive tech course is focused on pure psychology? So it's interesting because it's quite a new degree. They've obviously, as it's gone on, they've tried to figure out what balance to have between the psych and disruptive tech modules. From what I've understood with people in that course, I wouldn't say it's directly 50-50, but they try to level it out in some shape or form. I think some years, I think in like second year, there's a bit more tech than pure psychology. But the thing is, the degree, like we said before, both the disruptive tech but also the maths one is accredited by the PSI, which means the Psychology Society of Ireland do recognize it as it's enough psychology that if you decided to go into psychology afterwards, you could. So yeah, I would say if you are interested in both of those options, like it's a good balance in some way, and you would be in modules that would be with just the psychology students quite often.
Okay, so I think we're going to have to start wrapping up now. We might do one more question just to finish up. I would say maybe if you want to answer that one.
Yeah. Is it hard for international students to integrate or to make friends? So yeah, as an international student myself, I mean, I've made friends with loads of people from just around the corner. But yeah, I would say within the psychology course, there weren't too many international students, but honestly, like once you arrive, everyone's in the same boat of being new here. So everyone wants to make friends. And I think as well, once you get to university, making sure you put yourself out there in joining clubs and societies, going to events on campus. I think it's really, really great for international students. But yeah, sorry, I think we have to wrap up just for time on this presentation, but we hope that we answered some of your questions.
And if you've any more, you can go to the DCU website. Under psychology, you will see both of our UniBuddy profiles. So you can ask any more questions you have on there. Okay?
Yeah, great. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you for watching.